Okay, Tammy, are we good to go? So we're good to go? Okay. Can everyone in the boardroom hear me and on Zoom? Everybody can hear me? Thank you, Ron. Okay. All right, I'm going to call this meeting to order. This is the Government Ops and Advocacy meeting, and I'm going to need a motion to approve of the prior minutes. So do I have a motion for that? Motion by Mr. Conover, second by Ms. Smith. Thank you. All in favor? Opposed? Okay. All righty. So we only have one item on the agenda today. Supervisor Bramer sent this item to the committee and let's have a motion to bring it to the floor, and then a second, then we'll have discussion. So do I have a motion to bring it to the floor? Ms. Smith, second by, let's see, who else? Mr. Leggett's not here, by the way. He texted me he couldn't make it. Mr. Wild, are you seconding it to bring it to the floor?
Bring it to the floor.
You did? Oh, okay, so we now have a second to bring it to the floor. So now let's have a discussion. I'm going to open it up first to Ms. Bramer for the discussion. And Dennis, I'll get to you. Yep. I'm going to open it up first to Ms. Bramer. Go ahead. She's bringing the resolution. Go ahead.
Thank you, Chairman. I asked Supervisor Beatty if I could bring this to the committee as an advocate for this particular item, which I think is part of our leadership role in this particular area of environmental protection and specifically water quality protection. Warren County has been a great leader in this area. You all know that we've done a lot to bring the entire state forward with respect to things like invasive species. And I think that this particular proposed law, which it has been drafted off of the great work already done by Supervisors Conover and Supervisor Stroud in the towns of Fulton and Queensbury. And I would like us, Warren County, to build off of that great work that they have done. And I would also like to recognize the great work that is being done in the town of Lake George for their voluntary septic inspection program. I am learning more and more about the need to protect the quality of our water, not just in Lake George, but in our other important water bodies around Warren County, and making sure that we are preventing septic systems from leaching into our water is very important to make sure we are keeping out all of those pollutants that are leading to problems with drinking water as well as our recreational water. So I asked Supervisor Beatty if I could bring this, talk about it. Supervisor Dickinson had said at the last committee meeting that he needed more time to review it, and so it's not been a lot of time, but it has been pending. This proposal has been pending since 2019 when this particular idea was brought to us by one of the water quality advocates up in the Brant Lake area. So I'm happy to hear Supervisor Smith when she made the motion to at least bring this to the floor today. One of the things I would like this committee and the entire board to consider is removing the opt-out provision. Since we had the article in the newspaper over the weekend, a lot of people have reached out to me and said that that provision allowing municipalities to simply opt out is really not going to do justice for what we are trying to accomplish here, which is environmental protection of the water qualities. So I would like the committee to consider taking that out so that we can move it to the full board for a public hearing. And I know that there are going to be some comments about other provisions in the law, as well as the list of water bodies. I think that people are going to ask that we add additional water bodies to that list within Warren County, since we have a short list there, and things like Friends Lake have been already brought to my attention that we need to add to the list.
So
thank you for allowing me to introduce that.
So if I'm hearing you correctly, you want to make some amendments to this resolution, correct?
I would.
Okay. So could you be a little more specific where in the resolution you want to amend, you're proposing?
Yeah, on page 1, if you go to section D, the very last sentence says the county law shall not apply to any municipality whose governing body passes a resolution to opt out and not be subject to the provisions of this county law. I would like to strike that sentence.
Okay, was there any other amendment?
That's it at this time, thank you.
Okay, so,
And again, this is just to move it forward to set a public hearing on the law, so we can get additional public comment.
okay, this was moved by Ms. Smith and it was seconded by Mr. Wild. They're gonna have to approve the amending first, correct?
Yeah,
Okay, so Ms. Smith, are you okay with that amendment?
Supervisor Dickinson, as well as other supervisors that run the towns in terms of
Yep.
what.
Mr. Wild, I'll get to him. Mr. Wild, I'll get to him. Thank you.
I'd like to hear that change again. Page
Okay.
1, section 1.
on page 1, in section D, as in dog, the very last sentence of that paragraph starts, the county law shall not apply. Well, I can't. I'm not-
Are you, Ms. Smith, are you fine with that amendment?
Supervisor Beatty, well,
Yes.
just what she thinks about that for a moment. The county attorney is asking for a short recess.
Okay, do I have a motion to have a short recess?
This is a point of order, Chairman Beatty. You can just simply ask for a moment at ease. If you would just do that, we all just have to stay seated so that there can be a brief conversation.
Okay, so we will go into a short recess if I don't need a vote by the committee, although I think the committee would mind having a short recess. So we are now officially in a short recess. It's 1:38. We'll convene at 1:48, 10 minutes.
Holy crap.
Are we back? Okay, we're good to go. All right, we're back in session. We were entertaining an amendment to this. Ms. Smith had made the original motion, and Mr. Wild had seconded that. So to amend it, they have to approve of the amendment. Correct, Ron? And they're saying they don't want to amend it.
No,
Okay.
right.
Okay, so, at this point, the resolution is not being amended. It's as is. We're in the discussion phase. Dennis, I will get to you. Hang on just a sec. I'm going to do the committee members first. So, Mr. Wild, you're on the committee. Take you off mute, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In the matter of expediency, I'd like to make a motion to move this back to environmental concerns.
Okay, do I have a second for that? Seconded by Mr. Conover. I will now call the question. All in favor of move?
We have discussion on that, Mr. Chairman?
We can have discussion first? Yes, Mr.
Thank you.
Conover.
I know it's been a long day. Look, we have this law in Bolton. I'm totally supportive of clean water. I just want that out there. We have this law in Bolton. But I think this legislation needs a lot more work. I'm worried that we're picking winners and losers. I don't know why, if we're going to do this, why wouldn't you do it countywide? That's number one. But because everybody's water is important. Secondly, and I don't know why it's been zeroed in on only certain areas. Secondly, I don't know how we're going to pay for this. So, for example, in the exempt communities like Bolton, we're already paying for the program. And how are we going to pay for this in those very specific areas? Are we just going to generally put it on the general tax base? I don't know. I'm not. And also, I think that I'm uncomfortable with having this in front of us, not as a referral from environment. I mean, I think that's why we got the committee on the environment. And I think that, you know, it should go back there to work through some of these issues. And I just want to say one other thing I think I like laws like this to come from the bottom up, from the towns, and they push their way up. And then we react at the county to what the need exists that we feel exists. You know, I would say that the people that want to advance this, they need to get out to the towns that are affected. They need to talk to the town boards. Maybe the town boards want to have public meetings regarding this in their towns. We can extract all that information, and then by the time it comes up to us, we can make good law, right? And more importantly, we'll have the buy-in that I think is needed at the county level. And I've got some other suggestions if people are interested. Dennis, if you want to give me a call in terms of the administration of our program, that might be helpful and improve on this law. Thank you.
Okay, so we have on the table Mr. Wild to move this to environmental. And it was seconded by Mr. Conover. Does that, should we have a vote on that, Ryan, now?
I got no problem with that.
Okay, so Dennis, since we have this on the floor, we'll vote on that first, and then obviously we'll go back to your committee. So maybe you can save your comments for the committee. Is that okay? You're fine with that?
I'm fine.
Okay.
That's good. Yeah.
Okay, so let's take a vote on moving this back to environmental. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay, so that will be moved back to environmental. There's nothing else on the agenda. There's no other discussion items. Privilege of the floor, Don, is anybody calling in for any comments?
Nothing at this time, Chairman Beatty.
Okay, thank you. All right, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. The four of us, a motion by Mr. Conover, second by Ms. Smith. We're like the four horsemen and horsewomen. All right, motion passed. We are now adjourned. Over and out.